G'day and welcome again to another episode of my studio build. In actual fact, this is actually the last one. It's sort of a bit of a catch up at the end. When I got to the end, I got kind of excited and got too busy on the techo stuff, making sure all the wiring's connected and all that sort of stuff, and didn't do a lot of videoing near the end. So what I want to do in this one is I'm going to show you my patch bay, how I set it up. I've got an external rack, which I haven't bought any outboard gear as such at this point, but it's designed so I have a cable that runs out and then connects to that rack. So when I require it and I want to buy a bit of outboard gear, I have that opportunity. So I just want to show you how I've worked it out through that, and maybe show you a few bits and pieces around the place that never got video, just so you can see what happened. Enjoy this last episode, and please comment below and give us a thumbs up. Have a great one. Cheers. Alright, I want to sort of do a bit of a rundown on my patch bay for my system. This was all sort of made up with me. You can go along and use 1/4" jacks. They're quite expensive for those panels. I went with XLRs. It's just a cheaper alternative, and it still does the same thing. So basic quick rundown. On the top here you've got your 16 inputs, and they are directly connected to the wall plate, or my main, that purple board. That's what that's connected to. And then the other half of the patch bay is the top row of 8 go to my Pro 40, and the bottom one is Mokta Pro. So there's your 16, both of those. So basically, if you were just doing a straight out recording, so what I did was I got a whole bunch of coloured XLR patch leads. They were a metre long, cut them in half and made 2 out of each one. So I've now got all my little patch leads. So basically what you do is you would say you've got someone in the sound booth. That's input 1, which is in the sound booth, and I want to do input 1 into my first input on my interface. That's how I'd set it up. Now how this has all been set up is that's just direct, right? So if I wanted to do 16 inputs, I'd do that and just fill all that up with cables. Now what I did was, over in this section here, this top, or the last 8, what I decided to do was I had 3 multi-core leads. So what I did was I cut one in half, and sorry, they were 5 meters long, so I cut them in half, and then soldered one lot to the top rack and the next bottom. So you had the male and the female. So I had the females went on the top one, which plugs straight into the wall because they're all male, and on the back of these units I had all the male ends, and they plugged straight into the back of the unit, so I wasn't using too many cables. So then after that I had another one left over. So what I did is I went out and bought a rolling rack, which I've now got a 5 meter lead that hangs out, which is the other end of them. So I didn't cut it in half, I just cut one end off it. And so what I've done is I've got it so I can have 4 outboard gear if I want to pick up a nice compressor or reverb, delay, whatever it is. I haven't decided yet. It's not a big thing I'm worrying about at this point, but I wanted to have the option there if I wanted it. So what you would do, say for argument's sake, I've got a vocalist in the booth and he's using input 1, and I've got this beautiful compressor that works really well with the vocals. I would then get this lead here, I'll take that out, put it, say it's number 1. Okay, so now it's sending the signal straight from there, straight out. And then I would get another lead from the return side of it. Okay, and then I would plug it into the input. Right, so I have 4 of those that I can do that with. So I can go along and patch whatever I want to do. I can patch whatever it is into there. Okay, so the other alternative, and then with these 4 down here, or these first 6, I've designed it so when you want to use your outboard gear from the computer, I've got these connected to the internals, sorry, the outputs of the interfaces, and I've got them plugged straight into here. So for argument's sake, I want to send a signal out. I would go into, oops, sorry, making noise. I would plug that in the top there so the signal's coming out. Then I would send it to the outboard gear, and then I would take it from the return side of the outboard gear, and then I would put it into whatever input I've selected as the return signal. So that's basically it. And the last two, of course, I've got connections with RCAs, which the top one's for a record player input, top one's for the record player, and I have a tape deck that I'm using for family at the moment to do some really old recordings, or turning stuff, cleaning it up and sending it out. So they're just stuff I had here, so I thought I'd add those two in there to fill up the spaces. So that's basically how my setup works. The only issue I do have is I did do a mistake when I had these wired up, and the bottom, whoops, hang on, the bottom three are actually incorrect. They've got to get changed back to female, because you don't return through here, you only send the signal out. So that was just a mistake I did when I was getting these done. I've got to change those three to female. So then I've got 6 outputs that I can actually run out. Not that I can really use the 6 because I've only got 4, but you know, I'll just have them set up so I can use whichever output I want to use. So that's my my little patch bay. She works really well. I'm really enjoying it. So the second entry door has been installed now. I've actually also added a deadlock just for security reasons. When we're away, I can use that to lock up. A bit of a shame I couldn't give it a bigger airlock between the two doors, but that's all I can fit. I haven't got the space for it. And there's the entry door to the sound booth, and looking really good. And of course, that is the manhole and how she looks, all finished, and it's nicely sealed up. And last but not least, this is my lovely cable rack or cable holders for all my gear, XLR cables, 1/4-inch jacks and patch leads. Hope you really enjoyed that episode. That is the end of my studio build, but keep an eye on this channel because that's not the end of it. I'm now progressing on to where there'll be all my artists that come through the studio will be recorded, and you'll be able to see what goes on around here. You know, different things that will come through here where I might be testing units out, might be trying different things. All that sort of stuff's going to continue within this channel. So stay tuned for that. Don't forget to place all your comments below. If you're not subscribed to my channel, please make sure you subscribe and tick the bell so you get notifications when my new videos come up. And also keep an eye on me on Facebook. And keep an eye out for the Patreon page. There will be information and video being put up shortly in regards to that. And that will help to support me to keep the doors open, keep my gear up to date, so I can help the music industry and give my services for free. So anyway, you have a great one, and here's the music. Cheers.